Here's the bigger picture here. Here's why all those blue check marks who are buzzing me on Twitter for saying that woke Apple is serving a Marxist agenda. Let's unpack this, because I don't say that without substantiation. You know me, guys. I don't say things to be bombastic. I say things when I have facts and evidence to back it up. So let's back up for a second. We talk often about ESG, don't we? Environmental, social, and governance metrics. ESG is a social credit score system that was designed by Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum. ESG is used by the banking institutions in our country. This is not something that has not yet come here. This is on our shores. This is embedded in our nation. ESG is used by banking institutions to rate companies specifically on their behavior. And when I say their behavior, our understanding in a free market capitalist society of a business is that the business serves the interests of their shareholders. And they serve the interests of their shareholders by serving their customer base. Their shareholders seek profit, so their customer base needs to be happy in order to continue to exchange in a contractual way for good money, for goods and services with this company, which then profits the company. And it's a mutually beneficial system, right? It's one of the great things about capitalism, about a free market, is it benefits everyone. The only time that it's this beast, this strong beast eating the weak, is when there's corruption, when there's law breaking, when there's monopoly, when there's government regulations that make the playing field unfair. But true free market capitalism is a mutually beneficial system. Someone brings goods and services to the market, another person contracts for those goods and services, both people get what they need. Well, what Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum want to do is they want to pervert this system. Instead of businesses focusing on their shareholders, meaning on their customers and their employees, instead of businesses focusing on profit, they want businesses to focus on politics. They want businesses to factor into their business decision politics, but not just politics, radical leftist political agenda items. And they call this ESG, environmental, social, and governance metrics. So these environmental, social, and governance metrics rate businesses. They give them an actual score on how well they're serving these interests, these radical leftist agenda items that fall under the header of ESG. This all plays into Apple, I promise. This explains why Apple is doing what they're doing to Elon Musk, even if it won't serve the interests financially of their company. Because that's always the head scratcher, right? When these companies make decisions like Disney, when Disney made the decision to double down on their queerness agenda that they were inserting into children's programming, they just had a new movie. Disney just had a new movie that had a gay character that was supposed to be non-binary in the original script of the film. This LGBTQ ideology-ridden movie that lost like $100 million because it was woke. This is not something that Disney's customer base wanted. So the creation of this movie, the business decision by Disney to create this movie and bring it to the marketplace, wasn't in the best interest of Disney's shareholders. It was actually, I would argue, a breach of fiduciary duty to bring a product like this to marketplace when they know that customers are going to reject it. So why? Why does Disney do that? Why is Apple threatening to kick Twitter out of the App Store if it's going to tick off half of the people who own iPhones, half of the people being conservatives and Republicans and other people who who believe that free speech is as critical as free speech is to the survival of our nation? The answer to that question is ESG. Because these types of decisions, business decisions, impact the ESG score that's assigned to their company. So when Disney prioritizes a certain number of LGBTQ characters in their films, or Apple protects the LGBT community, or I don't even know what their justification is, honestly, for neither does Elon Musk, because they didn't tell him, for trying to kick Elon out of the store, they have behind them some kind of ideological motivation that will ultimately impact how they are rated on this ESG score. And it's important to them what their ESG score is, because the entire system, the ultimate goal of the ESG system is to control access to capital. that companies that have a high ESG score will have easier access to loans from investment firms. They will have better interest rates from banks, and companies with low ESG scores might even be denied the opportunity to take out a loan. The goal of the ESG system is to control access to the marketplace by controlling access to capital based on an analysis of whether companies and individuals running the companies are serving a radical leftist political agenda. When you look at it through this perspective, when you step back and you look at the decision that Apple is making, and you think that does not serve their shareholders, that does not serve the profit incentive of their company, why would they be doing this? And then you think how Tim Cook is thinking at Apple. You think about how their board is thinking. They're thinking through the view of ESG. It all starts to make sense. And what is the ultimate goal of ESG? Look at the man who devised this system, Klaus Schwab. What is his goal? His goal is a system that he calls stakeholder capitalism versus the shareholder capitalism that exists right now in the United States. Stakeholder capitalism is essentially the government or governments. It's like the Chinese Communist Party version of capitalism, actually. That's the best way to describe it. Where the Chinese Communist Party doesn't own the means of production and distribution. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't force businesses to be owned by anybody and nobody. It's not outright socialism. It's not outright communism. But even if the government doesn't own the industry, own the economy, they control it. They control it. And that is the ideology of Klaus Schwab. That is the ideology of the ESG system that exists in our country that motivates companies like Disney or Apple to make the decisions that they are making. They are making decisions based on their fealty to a Marxist ideology. All you have to do is look at what these ESG metrics are to see that they are, in fact, aligned with a Marxist ideology and transforming an economy and a country into a Marxist country.